Welcome in, everybody. This is David Shepard on SiriusXM NBA Radio alongside a very special guest, Richard Jefferson, NBA champion, 17-year NBA veteran, and of course, does a great job with ESPN. Reese's is bringing together basketball trailblazers Tyrese Halliburton, Breanna Stewart, Richard Jefferson, and Andrea Carter for a closed-door bracket summit on 3/17, which is today, where they will build and share their men's and women's bracket tournaments and encourage fans to do so as well. Join them as they make inevitable picks and hopefully everything unfolds in terms of everything falling apart. Not in their case because they are the experts. Speaking of experts, Richard Jefferson, you are an expert with Arizona back in 2001. It's incredulous to me, RJ, that that's the last time your Wildcats have been in a Final Four. Is this the year after a quarter of a century they finally get back to the Final Four?
You didn't
And
have to
it,
say
no,
quarter of a century, jerk.
I hear you, but
I'm
it's the
Dave. I'm
truth.
messing.
No, I get it, but it's infallible to me that as prestigious a program as Arizona is, it has been 25 years. So loyalty aside, is this the season you guys finally get back to the Final Four? And if so, why?
Well, every single year, again, I believe we're going to win it. If we're in the tournament, I have us winning it. It's been weird, and I guess why it hasn't gotten as much attention is because we've had like five Elite Eights. We had Jamal Horn has a shot against Kemba Walker. It doesn't go in. We have some battles against Wisconsin when it was TJ McConnell and Aaron Gordon, and we lose in the Elite Eight to Kaminsky and Decker in two different years, back to back years. So it's not. It's not that we haven't been right there, but it's just been we've been so close, and it's not what you familiar. So it's not like Arizona just fell off the map. It's we've been an elite team that's been right there on the cusp, and we haven't been able to get it over. But this year, this is the best Arizona team that we have had in probably 15, 20 years. The most complete, the most veteran-led team with youth. We have depth. So when I look at Arizona and even the way they started the season, what did they start? 15-0, 17-0, something crazy. And then the way they ended the year, winning the conference tournament, big battles against Houston, getting in the conference, winning the Big 12 tournament. And for me, my favorite thing about the attitude of Coach Lloyd, when everybody was asking him about the courts and this and that, the Arizona mentality that he threw out is like, man, we'll play on double rims on asphalt. Just toss the ball up. Let's go. Let's not make any excuses. And the fact that that Coach Lloyd is eliminating excuses. I don't care about any of that. We need to go perform. That's Arizona basketball. So I believe that this is the best, most complete team that we've had in Arizona in 15 years. That's why I think we're going to win it.
Again, we are joined by Richard Jefferson, 17-year NBA veteran, NBA champion. Great job on his analysis with ESPN on all levels of basketball. Richard, you mentioned elite, and it's tough to, dismiss Jaden Bradley as being one of the elite players in the men's NCAA tournament this season. You've been up close and personal yourself, Gilbert Arenas. There's been some all-time great talents, Jason Gardner, the list goes on, Luke Walton. But in terms of what Mr. Bradley has meant to the Arizona Wildcats, I think Iowa State's still having nightmares about him, by the way. How impressed have you been with the Big 12 Player of the Year bid this season?
This is what I'm most impressed with, and where I think college basketball and it's affected all levels of basketball. I'll give you another Arizona. Jason Terry. He didn't start his
Sure.
freshman year. He didn't start his sophomore year. He didn't start his junior year. He started his senior year and goes on to win National Player of the Year. And I say that because when I look at a player like Bradley, everybody's like, if you're not out of school in 6 months, you're not a good player. Well, Bradley has gotten better year over year over year, ultimate leading this. So for me, where I think I'm most excited is you have a guy that's a senior that has been through the trenches, the sophomore, the junior, and now he's developed over years to turn into one of the best players in the country. And I think that is something that has been lost in the last 20 years. It's like, oh, well, if you're a junior, you're too old to get drafted. It's like, no, you can flip the script and say, oh, you're a junior, you know how to play basketball. So to have a guy that's a senior that's been there for a few years, that reminds me of what it used to be. A guy that showed up in an organization, worked every single year, could lead the young guys, and could be front facing. Now, a kid, you have a great year as a sophomore, some other school pays you a bunch of money. So that's where I think
Right.
guy like Bradley, he doesn't get enough credit for the work that he's put in year over year, but you're seeing the fruit of it.
Again, we are joined by 17-year NBA veteran Richard Jefferson, NBA champion, and an Arizona Wildcat great. Sorry to bring this up, Richard. I thought that 2001 title game could have gone either way. The reality is sometimes that's just the way the ball bounces. Speaking of the way the ball bounces, I'm going to give you a question you've never been asked before. LeBron James, I know you've never covered him and never been asked
Never,
about your former
never
teammate
heard of him.
whatsoever. I know. When it comes to, hey, listen, you played at an extremely high level for 17 years. I've said this on SiriusXM NBA radio plenty of times. You're in that conversation along with Arizona Wildcat great Jason Terry of being one of the greatest players to never make an All-Star team. With that being said, it's insane that LeBron, as you know, is an All-Star caliber player in year 23, and that was not a mercy vote. This was not a
No.
situation where Dirk Nowitzki announces he's retiring, even though he didn't make an official announcement. We all knew 2019 was his last year. Same could be said for Dwayne Wade. LeBron James is still a top 20 player in the association. RJ, somebody who was up and close with LeBron for as long as you were, how much longer can LeBron James play at an all-star caliber level, in your humble opinion?
Again, my opinion, just like everybody else's, doesn't matter because just like there's never been a perfect bracket, we've never seen a player like LeBron. We've
Right.
never seen a player with that type of ability. And even though he's averaging what 22, 7, and 6 this year,
It's insane.
and you're like, oh, well,
Right.
look, he's washed. He's not doing what. No, I think for him, what's more impressive is one, his body holding up, but you can see his body is not the same that we saw when he was 28. I just think it's been most impressive to watch his mind. Watch him still be able to figure out, know what to do, see his basketball IQ. When you watch somebody play that long, it's never just your ability. It's also your work ethic. It's how you view the game, what you see, can you figure it out? And this, where I think this year is most impressive, is that for the first time in 20 years, his role has changed. He doesn't have the ball in his hands. Everything's not around him, and he has other scorers on his team. So I think the most impressive part is that he's been able to find a way to adjust.
No, you can say that again. Now, with all that being said, not to put you on the spot here, but there's a lot of people that want to see LeBron James get to a quarter of a century. Speaking of a quarter of a century, I won't bring up Arizona 2001 to 2020, 26 in terms of making Final Fours. Do you think for the next couple of years he can still be at an all-star caliber level? Because I know a lot of people are saying there's no way he retires this year because he's so worthy of having being sent off the right way. You know, being ceremoniously dismissed, having a celebration at the All-Star game, etc. I think he can play a quarter of a century. Do you see that also being a possibility?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a possibility. But also he is a person that he's going to do it how he chose. I don't know if he's doing a farewell tour. I don't know what any of that's going on. Hopefully, him and I will be at the Final Four with Arizona, rooting for Bryce. Shout
Right,
out Bryce. Even
right.
again, to talk about his basketball IQ, he sent his kid to Arizona. He knows what he's doing. And so when I look at Braun, if he chooses, but now it's not even just an acceptance of can he do it, but is he willing to take the role that would most likely be required for that? That's something that only he knows. If he wants to be, you look at a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the end of his career, he wasn't averaging 30 a night. He was still a very, very effective player and had great players around him, but it's all about what he's willing to accept. If you're like Bron, you can play till 20 for 25 years, but your last year you're going to average 15 points. Is that something that he's willing to do? I don't know. He set a standard for himself. We expect that standard for him. And so it's more about what he's willing to accept and the role he's willing, and only he knows that.
No, that's a very fair answer. And again, we are joined by Richard Jefferson right here on SiriusXM NBA Radio, and he, of course, is speaking on behalf of Reese's. And you can check out his bracket along with Tyrese Halliburton, Breonna Stewart, and Andrea Carter. RJ, I got. There you go. I love it, man. So now listen. If it's not Arizona, who's winning the NCAA tournament in your humble opinion?
I think if it's not Arizona, it's most likely a COVID year where they have to cancel the tournament.
That's a fair point.
Right.
And by the way, this is the last question I have for you. Not that you need to hear from me, but I want to commend you on how great you have been. in your post NBA career.
Thank
It's not
you.
an accident that you're calling, the best games in the NBA along the best partnership with Legs and Mike Breen, and you have that great show on YouTube called The Richard Show. I highly encourage anybody, if you want to see SNL at its finest and you want to see funny and you want to see that mixed with basketball, check out that show on YouTube. I just saw Richard along with his former teammate Gilbert Arenas, which was must-see TV. And that interview you had with Tim Duncan, by the way, that's the most personality you're ever going to see out of Timmy. So
Ever. Last
ever.
interview he ever did. Last interview he did.
Exactly. Until part two on the Richard Show on YouTube. But let me get you out with this, RJ. I love the back and forth that you have with Legs and Mike Breen. Speaking of elite, Mike Breen, you can make an argument, is the
The
best
GOAT.
broadcaster we have in all of sports. Just for our audience, please enlighten them on what it's like being front and center and being a broadcast partner of the great Mike Breen and how that has been for your career.
Mike Breen it's when you get an opportunity, you walk on campus and it's like Tom Brady's your quarterback, Magic Johnson's your point guard. When you walk onto a space and there's a person that you've watched for your whole life and you're just like, man, this guy is a legend. But for me, it's the prep that I see him do. He's made me a better broadcaster because I see him doing so much prep. I'll tell people a story where we were on the plane flying to one of the finals games. It was either game 6 or 7. So he starts preparing kind of his one shining moment. He has his one shining moment he does where he talks about his kind of a monologue for like a minute after the NBA season, after the championships is done. Mike Breen has such a beautiful mind, such an amazing work ethic, and he views the seat that he sits in as a responsibility, not a privilege, right? It's a responsibility to convey the basketball world. So he's sitting there and we're both on the plane, we're flying. So I pop over, so I'm watching Rick and Morty and he's over there writing out the monologue to classical music. He literally has classical music in his ears and
Right.
he's writing out the monologue for the season with all of this different stuff. And it's just like you look over at that and you're just like, I'm so glad that the sport that changed my life, that's changed my family's life, I'm so glad that it's in this man's hands because he handles it with such care, such respect, such responsibility that Mike Breen is all time.
Well, Richard Jefferson, what you've done in your 17-year professional career, what you were able to do in college, what you've done in your broadcasting career, you're setting a trend for a lot of not just former athletes, but people that want to get into the media game. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, man. I hope we do it again down the road on SiriusXM NBA Radio. And good luck, and I mean this, good luck to your Wildcats because it is overdue getting to
It
a
makes no
Final Four.
sense. It makes no sense at this
It
point in
doesn't.
time. And we blame Channing Frye for that blow up against Illinois, up 16 with 4 to go. That was when it started. That's when it started.
Road tripping. I love that show too. Richard, thank you so much for your time on
David,
SiriusXM
can he
NBA
tell you
Radio.
about his partnership with Reese's real quick before you
Yes,
go?
absolutely. Go for it, please.
100%. Okay, so this is the beautiful thing with
Yes.
Reese's, and reason why I'm here today, and we've already talked about it. Every bracket is going to bust. That's what's going to happen. But Reese's has come
Yes.
up with an amazing thing. Go make your bracket with your friends. Again, you've seen mine. I got South Carolina winning. I got Arizona winning. Hey, if you got a bracket buster, if your bracket gets busted in the first round, it's okay. You get a gift. Reese's got you taken care of. They get a couple of peanut butter cups. But also, that's where I win. I got Duke losing to Siena in the first round because I hate Duke. And so, if Siena wins, I win. I look like a freaking genius. If they lose, I look like a
Yeah.
genius because I get some Reese's cups. There's
But
nothing better than
but
this.
this Rich, but this is a hate when you got a number one seed going out in the first round. I mean, who do you think this is?
Has
Purdue?
it happened before?
Once.
Okay, then
Once.
we're fine.
Once. But
Okay,
it's not happening in
it's
the
happened.
Shire. You know
How
that.
can you? Nobody thought it was going to happen in Virginia. It happened,
That's true. That's a good point.
and
Touche.
then they won
But
the
they
national championship.
but right, we know what happened the next year. Exactly.
It's fine. So Duke, it could be there next year, but this year it's all about Siena.
That is the great Richard
If I'm wrong,
Jefferson,
I
bro.
get cups. I get peanut butter. I get Reese's peanut butter cups. So, guys, go fill out your brackets. If it doesn't work out, because every bracket busts. So literally, Reese's is like, you know what? We love America so much that when you lose, you're really gonna win.
Well, we won because we got Richard Jefferson on SiriusXM NBA Radio, and hopefully we can say that about Arizona in 2.5 weeks from now. Appreciate you, RJ. Thank you, man.
Thank you, David.